Okay, we are live from the Shoval Center.
Hello, hi. So my name is Sierra Yakumovich, and today I am proudly joined by Bill Bolin, who is the director of the Shoval Center, Mara Madrowski, Serve Trip and Community-Based Work Study Coordinator, and Kelly Gibbons, Community Outreach Coordinator. So what is the Shoval Center?
Well, and hello to everyone, and welcome to Kings. The Shoval Center is basically a one-stop shopping center for all of your volunteer needs in the community. So if you want to volunteer individually or with a group, if you are looking to go on one of our service trips during breaks, if you want a job working in the community at a daycare center or at a soup kitchen, or if you want to do a project in the community with your class, we're who you come to.
And what is the mission of the Shoval Center?
The mission of the center really is to deepen the college's overall commitment to helping others. So we are, as everybody knows, not only a liberal arts college, but a Catholic and a Christian university. And at the center of that, whether or not you're Catholic or Christian or Muslim or atheist, the center of the idea of being a human being in the Christian tradition is to help other people. So we try to find out as many opportunities in the community as we can and link you to it so that you can do what you want and help other organizations in the process.
So can each of you tell me how you got involved with service in the first place and what your favorite kind of service is?
Sure, I'll jump in. So I think I was always in some way involved in service. My mom, when I was little, used to always sign us up for things. I think I was involved in one of the first Earth Day community cleanups and stuff like that. And I never even realized I was doing community service. I would just volunteer to help, and that just got me like really active in it. But how I got like super involved in community service at King's College, I actually worked in a different position on campus, and one of the previous directors in the Shoval Center invited me to go on a service trip to be a staff leader. And once I went on that service trip, I was just absolutely passionate about doing service, and I couldn't get enough of it, and was so grateful when I was actually offered a position in the Shoval Center that I was able to do it full time. And my favorite kind of service, generally, I tend to work in communities of the most vulnerable. I've been volunteering at a food pantry since the pandemic hit in March, and I'm really enjoying that. But I've worked with the homeless population a lot as well. But, and also any kind of project that would involve using creativity and artwork, because people don't think of that often as community service, and most of the places we work with are always looking for different kinds of projects that they can do with there. So that's my story.
I can go next. Hi, I'm Mara. I think similar to Kelly, probably when I was younger, I definitely did some service with my family. But when I went to college, I went for a completely different major, engineering. My roommate was a social work major and would drag me along with her on volunteer activities, and I fell in love with them. So I switched my major to social work and then worked for a nonprofit for 15 years. And for 8 of those years was volunteer coordinator. Some of my favorite volunteers that would come were the college students. And so every once in a while I would check out the college websites to see if anything might be posted that would be volunteer-wise work appropriate. And the position came open at Shoval, and I was lucky enough to get it. And it's been an amazing journey since then.
And Sierra, I just started out kind of late bloomer. I think I didn't do so much in high school, but in college I started working with homeless centers, as some others have mentioned, and then really did that in graduate school a lot. And I actually got an internship. I was the entertainment director at a local homeless center in Indiana. And people there just took me in. I mean, they told me their life stories. And I was popular because I was the guy who took everyone to movies and stuff like that. And that really just transformed my life. That changed me. I wanted to be a sort of a straight teacher before that. And after it's like, no, I've got to do stuff in the community. So that like Mara and Kelly, that led me here to the Shoval as well.
Amazing, amazing. So are students going to be regularly volunteering while the coronavirus is still going around, or how will that work?
I'll take that one. So yes, students can still volunteer. I think things are going to be quite different, or they are going to be different because a lot of the agencies aren't allowing in-person volunteer opportunities. But that being said, so many agencies need our help right now, and we've reached out to a lot of them, and there are so many opportunities out there. Students can work, a lot of them are very, obviously all of them are going to be social distance, safety in mind. And, but we have so many opportunities that they can still do in the community. I'm gathering a bunch of them. I'll always be emailing them out and posting them on our social media and posting them on our webpage that we have for volunteer opportunities. And I'm actually pleasantly surprised at how many are still available to students.
That's amazing. What kind of precautions are they taking?
So everybody that I've reached out to following the Pennsylvania Health Department guidelines, everything that we have in place here at King's are also the guidelines that all of the agencies are following. Some, and I know from personal experience at certain places that they're very, very serious about following these guidelines, because if they get shut down, then their population doesn't get served. So not one agency or every agency has a policy in place, and everyone is following that. And if students want to know those policies, we can make them available to them. We can talk to the agencies. They can talk to the agencies to get more reassurance. But everyone I talk to, it's the same thing. Masks are required. We're doing social distancing. Some agencies aren't even allowing anyone into their into their centers. Every opportunity is outdoor and socially distanced. They're trying to do them in like family groups or groups that you are staying with. But again, following the absolute best guidelines, because nobody wants anybody to get sick. So.
Yeah. So what are some unusual things that students have done as volunteers during the pandemic?
So many in the King's community we started helping out at a local food pantry where everything went mobile. Right at when COVID hit, they had to switch over the entire operation and make it mobile. So everything, like students go, like have been a couple King's students and community members that have gone and volunteered to that. And literally we set up in a parking lot and give out the food as people come in. The guests can't get out, the people are picking up food, don't get out of their trunk or get out of their cars, trunks are open, and it's done like that. And one student who doesn't even live in this area took on a volunteer position to be the volunteer coordinator, and she used her CIS degree to actually, like her technology skills are amazing, and she set up a virtual sign up for virtual things so that volunteers could just sign up virtually. And she did all of this from her home in York, Pennsylvania. So it was really cool to see her be able to, and she was super excited because that was one of her dreams, was to use her technology education to help others, and it worked out perfectly. So that was a different one. Another one was students writing letters and cards to the frontline workers, and also to residents in homes where they couldn't leave. But some really neat experiences.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So as far as serve trips go, where do students go during breaks to do service, and what do they do there?
Well, that varies. We usually have one trip for fall, and it's been local over the past few years. But it's an amazing trip, despite it being, sometimes people are like, oh, I don't want to stay in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. But we get to work with a lot of great agencies and don't necessarily just stay in the Wilkes-Barre area. The group goes to Scranton, Plymouth, They've gone to a couple different places in the past, which is really cool. And then for winter break, we just do a week-long service trip. There's typically been 4 trips in the past. And so last year they were Puerto Rico, Arizona, Indiana, and Kentucky. No. Alabama, sorry. So, and all of those vary with the work that they do. Quite a few of our trips will work with homeless populations. Puerto Rico is more still a hurricane relief, and they've had some other natural disasters since the hurricane, so continued work in that area. Alabama, that trip works with a population that has physical or developmental disabilities. And they help to do a huge fundraiser marathon to raise money for the organization, which is really cool. And then spring, we typically go on 2 trips, and those are, one is Kentucky and one is in Massachusetts. And again, week long during spring break, different things again. One is like home repairs and painting, things like that to help individuals stay in their homes, because there's a lot of affordable housing there. In Massachusetts, it's furniture and food deliveries for anybody. They're amazing.
So how do students get along during the serve trips?
The coolest thing is that a lot of times students meet that maybe otherwise never would have met before. The students are put in groups kind of to get a variety of years, you know, freshmen through seniors, a variety of majors, and then also female and male. So it's a great opportunity to maybe meet somebody that you never would have met before. And a lot of times, well, everybody gets along famously because we have an amazing experience on each trip that we go on. But also a lot of times people end up meeting sometimes who's going to be their best friends at the end of college or their roommate. And I think maybe even people have met and fallen in love down the road. So everybody gets along great. We have wonderful, wonderful friends while we're there. Sometimes we're, doing work that's not the most enjoyable, meaning that it's hard work. We're working hard, putting in long days. But, typically it's still everybody comes together at the end of the day and agrees that it's still probably one of the most amazing experiences they have. And we all get along really well while we're on the trips.
So how much do they cost? Like, how much does a serve trip cost to go on?
The serve trips are extremely inexpensive. Our students are so lucky that the college, like Bill said earlier, really values service. And it's at the heart of the mission of what Holy Cross does and what King's does. So the cheapest that fall can be as little as $25, which it usually is $25. And then the most expensive has been our most recent international service trips, which I forgot to mention before. In the summer, we've been doing, just over the last 3 or 4 years, international trips. And they've been between India and Uganda. And those are about $300. And everything else during that time is paid for. We do ask students to do fundraisers throughout the year, and the fundraiser can help offset the cost of the trip, but also a lot of times are used to make a donation to the organization that we're working with so that they can continue to further their mission and help more individuals even after we leave.
So there was an earthquake during the trip to Puerto Rico. What was that like?
Okay, well, I will answer that one because I was one of the staff leaders on the trip to Puerto Rico. And as Mara had said before, that we gone there originally to help with cleanup for Hurricane Maria, and we were actually going back to continue that work, fixing houses, helping people who were still living in conditions, really bad conditions from that natural disaster. And the first 2 days we were there, routinely when we go down, we go during Three Kings Festival, which is really big in Puerto Rico. So our first 2 days were not service heavy. And the morning that we were supposed to start our service at 4:24 in the morning, we were all awakened by the house shaking. And we learned that on the other side of the island, there was a 6.1 hurricane that was, and our whole house, we were obviously shaken up too, because,